Welcome everyone to my SH Figuarts DCEU collection with a full recap on the line after the releases of Aquaman and The Flash, which also ended the universe in the movie timeline. So over the years, Tomorrow Nations have done other DC lines, whether it's The Dark Knight, Batman Ninja, The Batman, just to name a few. Of course, none of those are included on this list, as I'm solely focusing on the extended universe, so everything that began in Man of Steel all the way to Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom. I do, however, have one missing in the collection, which I will mention later on. So the best way to do this is to rank them from my least favorite to favorite and give you the pros and cons of each of the figures. So let's begin with the list. So despite Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, it wasn't until Suicide Squad where it all began for the SE Figuarts line, as we have Joker, which is the lowest on my list, simply because he wasn't the best representation on film, as I do have to take into consideration how much I like the character. I believe they also chose the safe route by going for the suited look rather than the long purple jacket or the white tuxedo, which in my opinion would have been a more exciting figure to display. Despite that, the face sculpt is good, includes the weapons like his guns, so it is still a decent Joker overall if you're looking for this particular look. But of course, Medicom Mayfax have done the other costumes I mentioned, so no doubt this is the least of my favourites on the list. The next one is Harley Quinn from her spin-off movie Birds of Prey, where she's wearing the gold jumpsuit, which we saw towards the end of the movie. It is a fun figure to pose around with since it included many face expressions, as well as accessories like the roller skates and lollipop. But since it's not the most exciting movie, as a figure for many reasons is quite low on the list, and also doesn't quite fit into any of the collection displays as they didn't make any other characters from this film, probably due to being a forgettable one. And in comparison to the other two Harlequins in this collection, it isn't as iconic. The next one I have is the Justice League Batman. Now, despite this being one of the best Batmans on film with its beefy, aggressive and powerful look, the figure simply doesn't do it for me, as the colours are way too light on the suit, so automatically this isn't accurate, and I feel that the main thing is the proportions are way off, as he's too short and not muscular enough. Other than that, the face sculpt is not bad. I think the resemblance is there, and they also have some of the key accessories like the Batarang and the grappler gun, but this is still not enough to put him higher, and considering there are Mayfax versions as well as the Mezco one, this one simply cannot compete. And the next one is also from the Justice League line, and it is Superman, which is weird to have some of my favourites in Batman and Superman not high on the list, but this is honestly not a great Superman now that I've compared it to some of the others I have in my collection. And I think it's the only Figuarts one we have in the line. Again, just like Batman, the proportions are too thin, as I prefer a more muscular look, and also feel that the head sculpt is a bit off. The alternative one included the angry face with the red eyes, but I think it didn't work either. So there's definitely better choices out there like the Mayfax one. And we also have another Harlequin, this time from the sequel The Suicide Squad, and this one had a lot of potential due to the success of the first Figuarts of Harlequin, with the likeness being there once again, and they've gone for the costume she wears early in the film, as it was heavily inspired from the animated or comic colours. But the disappointing thing was there were no weapons included, and this is probably due to the ban at the time. I feel that the costume of choice was okay, but it isn't the main one she wears in the final battle, so to me this seems to be a rush release, and if they made others like Peacemaker or Bloodsport, it would have somewhat made this a bit more exciting to collect, but as of now this is the only one we have. The 1989 Batman made its return in the 2023 movie The Flash with a new look on the suit, as well as the unmasked head sculpt included this time. Overall, it was a very disappointing release, as the cape was very basic and the cowl didn't quite fit well on the figure. Likeness wise, I think it's okay, and we get some accessories like the Batarang, but the previous Batman 1989 version, which also wasn't great, had a lot more, so there was a lot of expectations on this one being better, but there was very little to show for it. But since I enjoyed The Flash and this was a classic character making its comeback, it was a must in my collection. And now back to the first Suicide Squad with Deadshot, and no doubt this is where the list gets a bit more interesting, and I'm going to be a bit more positive with each of the figures. So for Deadshot, I think this absolutely works in terms of the overall build, the face sculpts, the mask version, as well as his main weapon. And I think this is a very decent choice to choose from, even over its competition, whether it's Mattel or Medicom. And I do like how this figure fits right in with the Suicide Squad members, and this could even work with the Batman figure, which I'm not a huge fan of. and this is one of those figures where it's a tough choice to choose whether the unmasked or the masked version, as both of them would pair up well with the sniper mode of Deadshot. And now for the latest release, which is Flash from the Flash, which does bring me on to the one I'm missing in the collection, which is the Justice League version of Barry Allen. Since they didn't complete the team and start making Cyborg and Aquaman, I just felt I had to move on to the Mafex line. But for this particular solo movie version, I think if you enjoyed the film, this is worth adding. It does have improvements to the previous Flash figure with the speed effects as well as the unmasked Barry Allen look. And overall, I think the suit looks great and it is a solid figure, and it is possibly the final one in this universe. For the second Wonder Woman release, we had the sequel movie version with Wonder Woman 1984, and this is one of the best looking figures in the collection with the colors that really pop, and it is a very accurate one to the armor that she wears. The head sculpt is almost perfect, and it is an improvement to the Justice League version. The only thing I'll say is that it only has the lasso. Although it is accurate to the movie, it's not the definitive look of Wonder Woman, and there was kind of lack of expression on the alternative head sculpt. But for sure, it is one of the best likenesses on this list. Moving into the final 5, as we have another Wonder Woman 1984 edition. This time it is the Wonder Woman Golden Eagle armor. So this is one of the figures that will instantly stand out on any display simply because of the gold shine, and the wings do take up a lot of display. In terms of quality, this is up there and it's probably the most premium looking figure in the collection. The helmet version is the one to use, but I also think the normal edition is a perfect representation of Diana. The armor has a lot more meaning behind it in the comics, but for this particular movie version, I think you do need to be a fan of the film and the character, since it was a very brief moment in the final fight. Now for a more recent movie, which is Black Adam, with Black Adam himself, or Tef Adam as he was in the movie. So this was a chance to finally see The Rock arrive to the universe, and they definitely didn't disappoint. In terms of the size, the proportions is spot on. We know in the past SA Figuarts have been smaller and shorter on many occasions, but for this one they didn't hold back. And this was also one of the first DC figures to use the effects in the head sculpt as well as the body. So we have the light up eyes as well as his chest emblem, and this one really makes a standout for any display. It is a shame there were no other characters added from this movie, since I would have been open to more. And now for the top 3, one of the highest ones on the list is Aquaman from the final DCEU movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So it is the first Arthur Curry figure, which does make it extra special after they did cancel the Justice League version and they didn't make one for the first film. So paired up with the water effects and the flowing hairstyle, it really upgrades the display, and it is something I've never seen before. Overall, it does have a very bright and colourful look to it and can be posed in many ways. So no doubt this is high on the list and worth considering even over the Mafex version, as this could be the definitive Aquaman live action figure. And in at number 2, my second favourite one in the collection is the third and final Harlequin from the first Suicide Squad. As I say, it's the best represented one in the collection due to the lightness, and I think it's even better than the 1/12 scale versions of the Mafex, Mezco and the DC Multiverse in my opinion. The head sculpts are very animated with multiple versions, and of course they've included the main weapons like the gun and baseball bat. The design of the costume is a standout with the paints on the jacket all the way to the text on the t-shirt, and of course we have the face paint and the tattoos. And this sums up the contrast between the Joker and the Harlequin figures, where Joker is way down on the list and Harley is at the top of the list, pretty much like the reception these characters got after the movie. In terms of being the most realistic SH figures in the collection, I'm going to say Harlequin is at number 1, and this may not necessarily be everyone's favourite figure, but if I had to rank them by likeness, this is no doubt at the top. And in at number 1, my favourite SH figurines in the DCEU collection is the Justice League Wonder Woman, which is the third and final one. Now I did say the 1984 edition had the better likeness, and I stick by that, but there is just something about this figure I like a lot more in terms of a display for a battle. In terms of the dark shadings and tone on the armour, I think it fits right into the BVS and Justice League lines. This of course has all the weapons from the shield to the sword and 2 forms of the lasso, so so it is the complete package, and I feel the proportion wise it does fit well with the others, even with some of the Justice League Mayfex figures. And I think if you throw in the 1984 head sculpt, it would be great, but at the same time you do have this aggressive face sculpt included, and it's very rare to see in an SH Figuarts. Even though there is competition from Mayfex who have a solo edition, as well as the BVS and the Justice League one, this is something I'm already satisfied with, although I am intrigued to see what Mayfex do for the Zack Snyder's version. So that was a total of the 14 SH Figuarts in my DCEU collection, 15 if you count the Justice League Flash, which I believe is the only one I'm missing. So overall it's a decent lineup as we got most of the main characters at least once. The only disappointment is we never saw Cyborg and Aquaman to complete the Justice League team. Other than that, I believe there were 15 movies in total, and these figures can represent 12 of them, of course some representing multiple movies. So the only main characters we're missing is Shazam and a Blue Beetle. Check out my latest reviews on the SH Figuarts Aquaman as well as the Flash, and let me know in the comments below which of these figures are worth getting and which ones were real disappointments, and who else can they still make in the future. I would like to see a Supergirl added into the line, and I wouldn't mind seeing a Peacemaker or a Blue Beetle also added into the collection. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.